Hi, I'm Ryan Wright. Recently my father, he passed away, and I wanted to do a video for him because there's two things this man definitely gave me. One is the love for movies. That's why I'm a movie critic now. See the correlation? And the other one is he loved to make people laugh. He really enjoyed doing that an awful lot. He was a funny man. Sometimes an embarrassing man. But overall, he's a pretty funny guy. Today I want to just talk about the things that made me laugh about my dad. The things that made everyone laugh, you know, and in school people would always be like, dude, Ryan Wright, your dad is so funny. So things that would embarrass the heck out of it, because he certainly, everyone's embarrassed by their parents, but my dad, no, he certainly had things that were definitely unique. He would be parked outside waiting for me for me to get out of school, and his bare foot would just be dangling out the window. People would walk by and just see my dad's foot just dangling out the window. He didn't care. And then he did the other thing too. I know why he did all these things, you know, but he had his reasons, but it's still like, you could have calmed it down a little bit. He would stretch in public everywhere we went. He would stretch. He was a good stretcher. He was flexible. Out of nowhere, he literally, and today, you know, I'm in a suit, but with PJs on, because that is how I imagine my father might film this video for some reason. Everywhere we went, it could be, just imagine anywhere you want to imagine, the most embarrassing place to just be kicking your legs up and down, back and forth, trying to kick your foot to the ceiling, inside of the lobby of an Olive Garden, and it can be pretty freaking embarrassing. He's one of those dads who told the same jokes for like your entire life. Basically, when he would do it, what was cool is that no matter how many times he said it, it was like the first time he said it. He would light up all the time. It was like this radiant, joyous smile. It was like a little boy. So he told me a joke. This joke's a little inappropriate. It's not rated R-ish, but it's like PG-13, but almost rated R-ish. This joke, it's worked since I first heard it. I think he told it to me on like my 10th birthday or something like that, which he shouldn't have done, but he told it to me anyway. And the joke has worked since, and it's gonna get you right now if you haven't heard it. Here we go. How did Captain Hook die? He wiped his ass with the wrong hand. Yeah, you're laughing. I can tell you're laughing. There's this joke that my grandfather apparently told him. My grandfather and my dad, they weren't, you know, a lot of people know that they didn't have the best relationship, but what's cool is that regardless, there are things after my grandfather died that my dad really enjoyed about him, which were some of the jokes that he left behind. And I feel like it's a tradition for me to pass it along. So here's another one. There's this guy who worked at a morgue, and his job was to clean up all the dead bodies. So one day, he's cleaning up the morgue, and then suddenly there's a cork inside of a guy's butthole, his anus. That's where it is. And then he pulls out the cork, the morgue guy, because that's what his job is, to do stuff like that. He didn't do it out of, you know, joy. He did it because he's required to. So he pulls out, and then suddenly he hears, "You're my sunshine, my lovely sunshine. You make me happy." And then he puts the cork back in, and the music stops. He does it again. Shh. "You are my sunshine, my own," puts it back in, music stops. So what he does is this, he calls up his boss, wakes up his boss. It's like 4 in the morning, and no one likes being woken up at 4 a.m. He's like, what do you want? He's like, "Boss, you gotta hear this." He puts the phone up to the guy's butthole, he takes the cork out, and the boss hears, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." And then the boss says, "You woke me up at 4 in the morning to listen to some asshole saying you are my sunshine?" Fin. Oh, one thing I really enjoyed about my father was his hair. He had an interesting set of hair. You know those people who have like long hair, but they're balding at the same time? And it's a weird look. I think you should just shave it, you know, Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad. You can learn a few things. His hair was like a bunch of weird curls everywhere, and I have those curls. You see this hair right now? This hair I work on because of the genes my father gave me. Those genetics make my hair looked like a giant bush. He was also a fan of Mel Gibson, by the way. The good Mel Gibson, not the not the bad Mel Gibson. If there's one thing my parents had in common, it's they both really love Mel Gibson. There's nothing that could tear them apart when it came to that topic. I think my mom still has, even with Mel Gibson's bad image now, she still loves the old Mel Gibson, and her whole office is plastered with pictures of Mel Gibson. And I think my father greatly approved of this for some reason. When I was going in elementary school, he would call my school for the weirdest things. These things were things you don't have to call about. They can wait. But no, my dad gets weirdly impatient about certain things. One time, I got a call saying that your dad is on the line in the office downstairs. You gotta take it. And it was like 10 a.m. or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? I pick up the phone, and then he goes, Ryan Wright, where are the avocados? That's a true story. That really, except for the Ryan Wright part. What's my real identity? My dad loved celebrities. The way I love Ryan Gosling is the way my dad loves celebrities in general. And you know, if you recognize someone, even if he wasn't a big fan, he would do whatever it took to get in front of that person. One time we were driving down Ventura Boulevard. Out comes, walking out of a Starbucks, Terry Hatcher. And what he does, with a whole family in the car, he pulls the car over, and then he gets out of the car, tells me to come with him for some reason. So I go with him, and he's like walking, he's not running, but he's a fast walker. And he was walking so fast, shouting, Terry! Terry! And I'm speechless that he would do that. She turned around, they had a great conversation. It was awesome. I can honestly say my dad really loved me growing up, but there's just one thing he did an awful lot that was just a little neglectful whenever we would go anywhere. Let's say we were shopping at Whole Foods. That was an interesting experience, him going to Whole Foods. You know, because Whole Foods is expensive. And he knew that. But he still went and complained every time he bought stuff. One day we were just walking around Whole Foods, and the ability this man has to one day just leave your sight, and he cannot run. He cannot run due to health issues, but surprisingly, he would vanish the second you turned around. He was the fastest walker you've ever seen. You would literally have to go looking through stores to find this guy. Stores. My dad would sometimes lie, and these were weird lies. I don't know how people believe these lies. You know, like, for example, these were consistent lies that he would do. Whenever he'd meet someone, and he'd ask what race they are, no matter what race they were, he would say, I'm that race too. He would do it clever, you know. He would, like, literally one time, there was an African-American woman in Las Vegas with us. She wasn't with us, we just met her that day. I don't know, I honestly think he asked her what her ethnicity was. But anyway, at one point he managed to interject, oh, my grandfather was half black too. Which was just not true. Now that I know he can't get arrested for this, there was one thing he was great at. Theater hopping. If there's anything I could do with this guy, he taught me how to theater hop. He was like a spy when it came to that stuff. One time, we saw 5 movies in one day. For anyone who knew my dad, it was, he was someone who would, he would blame God, weirdly, he was like Bruce Almighty. If you've ever met him, I'm sure at one point he said something along the lines of, I don't know, God just doesn't like me. You know, that was a common one. That was a common one. And it was weird. He would blame God for weird things. Things that, I want to get involved with that. You know what he said to me when he called me at the school? He said, God moved the avocados. This guy literally thought whenever something bad happened, God was at play here. And sometimes you'd have to argue with my dad when it came to this God stuff, because there was just no reasoning sometimes, no logical reasoning. A guy would cut him off on the road. It's like, look what God did. What? How was God there? There was a man driving the vehicle who I don't think was God in the car driving the vehicle at the time. When he was late, he thought it was God's fault. My dad would wake up late, then he would procrastinate and do a lot of that. For some reason, when he had to be somewhere at 3 and he was leaving at 2:58, he thought God had something to do with him being late. Don't get me wrong, you know, he did love God. That's why he felt so strongly about some stuff. My dad would do this weird thing when he would talk to people. In order to get to know them, he would play this game that I like to call Guess Their Race. If he wanted to strike up a conversation with someone, he couldn't use his surroundings, like, oh, are you reaching for the avocados too? He would be like, oh, are you Chinese? Are you Puerto Rican? And then, depending on what their race was, my dad had a sentence in that language prepared to say that to them. When he guessed someone was Mexican, he would say, "Mi name Jose." And even when the other person spoke perfectly good English and was probably raised in America, he would still try speaking in their language to them. One thing a lot of people don't know about my dad, he was actually a hoarder. A real hoarder. Have you seen the show Hoarders? Yeah, that is... It wasn't as scary as that show makes it out to be, but it was a hoarder's home. This guy, he loved his trash. Trash, I guess, was something special to the guy. My father may be the first person to get banned from Fry's Electronics. If you don't know, it's an electronics store. It has nothing to do with French fries. If you go there thinking, oh, I'm gonna get a great burger and shake and fries today, you would be very disappointed. My dad, he was a little bit of a con artist, a slight con artist, you know, nothing that we're gonna go to prison for, but he's a slight con artist. He would buy DVDs for cheap and then go to a store that sold that DVD but was more money, and he'd return it there to get money. So he would probably earn like $3 a DVD. I know what you're thinking, there are probably more efficient ways to earn more money. But anyway, Fry's found out about him. What Fry's didn't know was that there's a lot more stores out there that lost a lot of money, like at Circuit City. I almost said I hope him and Mel Gibson are happy in heaven, but then I forgot, Mel Gibson's not dead. But when Mel Gibson does die, that will happen. Mel Gibson will be miles away and my dad will be chasing him down going, Mel! Mel! I'm a producer! The great thing about living with a hoarder is you could sleep anywhere. You could practically go to the bathroom anywhere. And all you have to do to sleep is just find a flat surface and you can rest there. It was awesome. You know, every guy usually has, you know, like, oh, he likes brunettes. Oh, he likes blondes. My dad liked Asian people. Asian people. Not just Asian women. People. There is a fascination with Japanese people for some reason. For some reason, he went to Japan and studied there and taught for 4 years how to speak English to people. Which is weird because my dad can't even say the word millennium. As a matter of fact, he can't say a lot of things. When it came to people's names, wasn't very good at it. My cousin, her name is Jessica. For 21 years he called her Jennifer. And he never doubted himself at all. It was always best when he got a celebrity's name wrong. My brother certainly got that from him. Let me tell you something about my brother. One time, Denzel Washington was at the St. Charles Festival. And I didn't know who Denzel Washington was since I was only 4 years old. And my brother said, hey, why don't you go up to him and ask, hey, were you the guy in Die Hard? In case you guys don't know who the guy in Die Hard was, he was the dad on Family Matters. And honestly, I hate to say this, but they look nothing alike, especially due to the weight difference. So I went up to Denzel Washington and I said, are you the guy from Die Hard? And he went, no, I'm not the guy from Die Hard. And he just played it cool. While a bunch of other 6-year-old kids apparently knew who Denzel Washington was. I don't know what Denzel Washington movie they've seen for 6-year-olds to appreciate that guy. Remember the Titans had not come out yet. My dad had some funny, inconsiderate manners sometimes. There'd be so many times where I'd be up late at night watching Conan O'Brien at like 1 in the morning, and then he would just, without asking, open the DVD player, pop a movie in, and just change the channel. No, hey, I'm gonna switch this on you, buddy. Just let's watch Dog Day Afternoon all of a sudden. And the other thing about that too was we lived in a home where wherever you were you could hear the television. He loved to blast the TV. You know, they say men like to blast it. My dad, we've had neighbors upset because of how loud the surround sound is. You could drive past my neighborhood going 65 miles per hour and you will hear gunshots from a movie like Wild Wild West. That's right, he's one of the few people that really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed it too. Something we had in common. If there's one thing we had in common, it was that we really loved movies. When there was nothing to talk about, we always had the ability to just converse about films, and that's why I love talking about movies today. Let me get straight to the point here. All in all, I gotta say, my dad got it right.